Welcome to If Mama Only Knew podcast, where we explore topics related to mental health, well being, and personal growth. Please note that while I, Anna, am a licensed therapist, the information and advice shared on this podcast are for educational and informational purposes only. The content provided here is not intended to replace or substitute for professional mental health services with a licensed professional. Thank you for listening, and remember to take care of yourself.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of If Mama Only Knew podcast. This is Tatiana, one of your hosts.
And this is Hannah, your other host.
And we're back for another week. So I feel like, I don't know why it feels like we haven't recorded in a while, but
I know.
it just feels that way for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I feel like this week went by slower, so it was weird. But we're back. We'll go ahead and start with our check-in as always. Mom, do you want to go first?
Yes. Let's see. How am I feeling today? Actually, I don't even have to look at the pillow because I already know how I'm feeling. I'm feeling aggravated. I'm feeling so aggravated because I just feel like there's so much going on, and I want to save the venting. And I'll go after you check in. So how about you check in, and then I can continue with explaining why I'm feeling aggravated.
You're aggravated?
Yes.
Okay. I feel like a lot of things. I'm feeling tired, burnt out. That's it. Okay. A little bit happy because I did a little bit of retail therapy today, which is not the best, but yeah, tired, burnt out. It's like on that last stretch of school, we have like one more full month and then like 2 weeks, so like a month or something left. So I'm just really tired of like my routine. I feel like I'm just over it. I've been slacking when it comes to school, I'm gonna admit it. So I've just been a little bit tired, burnt out, kind of unmotivated, but I'm really trying my best to, stay on a schedule and do my best with school. And work too has been, a little hectic. Holidays coming up, so we're just gonna be so busy with that. I was kind of debating if I was going to share, but I decided to share it because it's something that I think a lot of people go through. I don't think I've shared, have I?
I don't think you have. No. This
Okay.
is such a, before you start, sorry, I just have to say, like, this is such a big part of Tatiana's life that it's kind of happening in the background. And I feel like this is life, right? Oftentimes we are going through so much and we don't realize, or the outside world doesn't realize that we're dealing with a lot of, stuff behind the scenes. So Tatiana really thought about this long and hard, and then she ultimately decided that it would be good for her to open up and share a little bit about her experience. So
Yeah, so basically I have, been on this ongoing struggle with my anxiety for a couple years now. So I finally made the decision to, after like a lot of thinking, to go on medication. So I started it about 4 or 5 weeks ago. I started,
you want to say, sorry, you want to say what the medication is for?
yeah, so the medication is for like anti-anxiety, anti-depression type of thing. So I've been taking that, and I was really struggling at the beginning. My doctor let me know about the side effects and everything, and I did take that into consideration. But I didn't expect, I think, to really feel the side effects, because I know it can always be like up in the air when it comes to side effects for a lot of people. Everyone's different, but I was feeling it the first week of me taking my medication. I'm taking Lexapro, which is like the name, but I know there's like different types but yeah, nausea was a side effect. What was like tiredness. I didn't really feel insomnia. I feel like for me, like, I was just always tired, and I'm still dealing with that. I'm always tired these days, which is another reason why I've been slacking with school. Like, I've been missing class. I've been, like slacking. And I think that's a big part. I've been tired. Like literally, I've just been tired.
Yeah. And
I
sleepy, right?
always sleep now. Like it's just crazy. So yeah, I've been really feeling the side effects when it comes to like feeling really tired. The first week, like I said, I really could not eat a lot. Like my appetite was gone. The nausea was really affecting me. After the first week, that was gone, but now I've just been dealing with like this lingering sleepiness. So that's been a challenge for me. I've also been dealing with like this weird rash on my arms and legs. So we're trying to figure out what that is. So I feel like it's just one thing after another. I've just been a little bit stressed out, but I'm trying to give the medication a chance. I do have a checkup, like a follow-up with my doctor coming up, so we're going to see if I'm even going to continue, if like the side effects are even worth it, because I feel like I do want to give it time, because I know it takes time to fully feel the effects of medication, but I feel like I don't know if I can do it. I feel tired literally 24/7 of the day. I can sleep for like 8 hours and I will still feel tired. Like it's no joke.
Yeah.
So that's been what I have been dealing with. Yeah.
And I think like seeing you obviously go through this on the outside, like I see it, I feel like you're downplaying it a little bit, but it's really truly impacting her functioning. Like she does the bare minimum, and her bare minimum is still a lot. She's really functioning really well. Like she's going to, class, like she's going to school, she's working. Generally she hasn't really missed, I think she's missed like a couple classes here and there, but she's still maintaining really good grades. And
I was
she's
like
still
really hard on myself. Like I'm not missing any classes. Like before I started my medication, I was doing really good, but once it started, it was like a 360. Like everything changed. Like, and it's crazy. I was like, I was really hard on myself about it, because I hold myself to such like a high standard. I'm so hard on myself, and this has really like set me back. So it's been like, damn.
She's still maintaining her grades. She has all A's, I think, right?
All A's and like 1C.
Yeah, which is still really great. And she's going to work. She's still doing what she has to do, but she gets home and she goes to bed. She takes naps throughout the day, and this is not typical of her behavior. And I can relate to the side effects, because I think a few years back, I also was on medication, and I took Lexapro, and that is something that really didn't help at all for me. And it was the same thing, just always tired, needing to nap throughout the day. And for me, I decided to stop taking the medication because the side effects were not, worth, like, I guess the relief I was getting from the medication itself. I guess my anxiety wasn't as severe, and I could have I done it on my own without the medication, but this is not the case for everyone. So definitely consult with your doctor if you are on medication and you feel like it's not working. Definitely don't stop taking it. Consult with your doctor, and that's what Tatiana is going to do.
So I'm still taking it. I'm continuing to take my daily dose, and we'll see how that goes. I know too, I recently got blood work done, and it came back that I was severely low on vitamin D. Like I literally had to get like a prescription strength vitamin D from my doctor. So I know that plays into like how we feel as well. So I'm starting to take that. So hopefully I see a difference when it comes to like overall mood and stuff, and it's gonna help my health as well, my physical health. But yeah,
how are you feeling with your anxiety? Do you feel like the medication has helped relieve your anxiety?
I don't know if it's been enough time to even tell.
That's
because
a good point.
I know my doctor said it takes about like 6 weeks to like maybe see, or even longer. So I think I'm almost gonna be hitting the 6-week mark soon. I feel like my like overall like internal feeling when like just like randomly, not when I'm like in a situation where I'm anxious, but just randomly, I feel like I'm definitely more calm. But I don't know if it's really helping.
Okay.
I don't really know. I kind of want to give it a little longer, but I don't know if it's working. I really don't know. Like, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess I thought that this was going to be like, oh my gosh, this is it. Like, I'm not going to have to deal with this anymore. But no, I think I'm having a reality check. And maybe I'm just, I haven't given enough time, but I just really, truly don't feel a difference. I feel like this is just like made me down bad. Like,
Well,
this
and I
just
think
made
this
me
is
like,
part of
no.
it. It's part of like you trying something different to see if it works. And if you decide that this isn't for you, that's okay. You can change your mind.
Yeah, so that's what I've been going through.
Yeah.
So it's been hard. You know, we all have our ups and downs. I feel like you can have a good day and then you can have like a bad day. So it's kind of that. So
Yeah.
I am going to start hopefully going on runs soon. Going to start like working out again. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I just need to get on a schedule again. But yeah, that is how I'm doing. That was a long check-in for me.
Yeah.
But a lot has been going on. So that's a big change in my life right now. I'll definitely keep you guys updated if I end up staying on it, if I don't. But yeah, that's kind of what's been going on with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mom, can you tell us why you're feeling aggravated? Back to her.
Yeah.
I know you were saying that.
Oh, I have a lot. It's going to be a long rant, but I feel like it's much needed. So let's take a quick break before I get into it, because I think it's going to be a long rant. Okay?
Tuesday, November 5th.
That's election day, so are they trying to have you work? Girls say no.
Why?
Because we have to go vote.
We're going to vote that day?
Yeah, and then I don't know what's going to happen. I want you home. I don't know.
Okay, stop. You're freaking me out.
We'll talk about it later.
Purge election
Well,
day.
you never know. So
Okay.
say no, you can't.
Please, you're really like stressing me out.
Okay.
Stop. Oh my
Anyway.
God. Okay.
Ready?
Anyway, I'm gonna work if I want to fucking work. If I want to feed my shopping addiction, I'm gonna fucking work. Okay. Sorry. And we're back from our break. I just had to take care of some business.
Girl.
Just kidding. But yeah, we're gonna get into a little rant moment / just what's going on right now.
What
in the
aggravated
world.
me or us actually this week?
It's just a lot, and I
Yeah.
feel like this is deja vu of like, when did the orange guy get elected? When
Oh
was it?
God, it's like 2018.
Yeah, whatever. That's crazy to think of that.
Was it
I
2018
don't
or
know.
2016? I don't know.
But obviously,
Not us sounding like
election-
Alabama.
Girl, no. We're back and we're talking about obviously the election, what's going on right now.
Oh yeah, my rant.
And
No, yeah, I said I'm aggravated. I think it's just a lot. I think I was sharing with Tatiana earlier today that I miss the old TikTok. Like I miss like when I used to be able to go on TikTok and just decompress and not really think about anything. I miss like all the coffee recipes, you know, all the cute little kids like dancing around
you
and
said like pandemic TikTok. Kind of
Yeah.
like when it was like 2020 TikTok. I
it was
think.
so new. It was just interesting.
It had like just changed from Musically to TikTok, so it was like everyone was kind of like
Figuring it
do
out.
we like TikTok?
Yeah.
It's lame. Or
It
not?
was random. It was in the moment. It was real. It was like I feel like real people just having fun, trying to cope with like what the world was going through.
It was actually funny. Like you can go on TikTok to like laugh, and yeah, now I still have laughs on TikTok, but now it's like baddies, people getting their teeth knocked out.
Yeah.
It's the election, all the fucking racist like people who are just using this election to be blatantly hateful, racist, transphobic.
Yeah.
Like, all this shit that's going on is just crazy. And I don't even want to go on TikTok anymore.
I know.
Like, it's literally like, and some people are going to be like, well, your For You page is what you look up and what you engage with. Like, no. TikTok, that's a big part of it, yes. But TikTok is going to push out with the algorithm, like, what they're going to push out. So if things are going viral, like, if this is the hot topics right now, that's what's going to go on your For You page. So we don't want to see that. Like, and it's just kind of, like, hard. It's something that you can't avoid. And if you're someone who's like, oh, no, I'm just going to avoid it, that has nothing to do with me, that's, like, so much privilege that you have to even say that. And I think that this is, like, this can be really bad. And I think that I have been trying to, like, really find ways to, like, not crash out.
What? Not crash out. No, like, it's just a lot. And I think that's kind of what I'm, like, also tapping into, like, feeling. I feel like I'm aggravated because I'm seeing a lot of hateful people on my For You page. And I don't understand why, if I don't engage with these people, with these content creators, with this content, it just keeps coming up, right? And I think that the end of what you were saying is true, that TikTok is pushing specific things, I think, especially around the election. And I think what's coming up for me is that I'm constantly seeing people either repost or engage with, like, doing, like, reaction videos, like stitching videos. And that's how I'm seeing the original video of a content creator that perhaps I would have never came across. And so I'm seeing a lot of people, you know, just using excuses to be hateful. And I'm specifically getting triggered with seeing people, specifically minorities, support Orange Guy. And I just don't understand. I'll never understand that. Like, it really grates my nerves when people, brown people in particular, and I'll stick to that because that's sort of the community I'm part of, I feel uncomfortable criticizing other people of color for choosing to do whatever they want to do. Like, I can only speak for myself and the community I'm part of. And I don't understand how, as a Latinx, Latino, Latina person, you can support that fucking Orange Guy. Like, I don't understand how that is. And I do understand it, but I don't want to understand it. It's internalized racism, internalized homophobia, internalized hatred that people, I think, have. I was telling Tatiana, I think we live in a predominantly white town, right? And so I think we're the minority, and that's obvious. I think specifically when you grow up in a town that's predominantly white, you experience macro and microaggressions. You either have a choice to internalize that hatred and try to assimilate as a defense mechanism, or you can fight against it. And fighting against it is obviously dangerous, taxing, and all the things, which I understand why people don't do it. But for me specifically, I can't afford to do that because I am a Mexican woman and I have a biracial child. So I feel like I wouldn't even want to have the luxury of being oblivious to what's going on. I just really feel like I have a choice to limit access that people have into my life that don't necessarily align with my views. And what I mean is, like, if you are supporting that person, I'm not going to be friends with you and I'm not going to apologize over it. This isn't like, oh, let's agree to disagree. No, I'm not going to.
It's not even
it's
on
beyond that
level anymore. Like, genuinely, if you support that person and if you're voting for him, we have nothing in common. We have nothing aligned. Like, and I think a lot of people get really upset by that. And they're like, well, everyone's going to have different views. Like, that's you being closed-minded. No. I'm sorry. If you're backing up someone who's what is it? Like a fucking criminal.
Yeah.
If, like, you are a fucking sex offender, fucking abuser, if you're racist, if you're transphobic, if you're literally everything phobic, everything
Yeah.
is like, I don't understand.
We have nothing in common.
Exactly, because if you're supporting this person who is surrounded by all these controversial things that they've done and they're racist, and what am I gonna think you think about me?
Yeah.
What, like, no. So it's
I don't want to be seen as the exception to the rule. Meaning, I don't want to be considered as one of the good ones or as one of the acceptable ones, right? I don't want that. And I feel like a lot of the narrative that I hear from people of color that support Orange Guy is that they say, one, oh, he's Christian and he preaches about Christianity and all these things, knowing damn and well that you claim to be Christian and you claim to be religious. That's how you're aligning with this person because of that thing in common. But you are a sinner. You live a life of sin. You're hateful. You are all the things that are wrong with this world. You had a child out of wedlock. And I'm thinking of specific people in our lives that we know personally
And
that claim to be Christian. Right.
I'm sorry. And that's a lot of people who are religious these days. A lot of the Christian and Catholic. I mean, we grew up Catholic, but we don't necessarily practice.
We don't practice.
We haven't been to church in so long.
Yeah.
But besides the point, a lot of Christian and Catholics, I'm talking right now specifically about Christians, and Catholics, I guess, but they have different views.
Yeah.
But Christians specifically, and this is getting into a whole other thing, but I'm just going to say any religion. You guys pick and choose. If you were truly like a whole Christian, you would not be celebrating Halloween. You would not be celebrating a lot of other things that you... And I saw this TikTok and it was like, oh, we're Christians and we do not support Halloween. But every year we love to go trick-or-treating and dress up. Bitch, that's Halloween. Like, what? And it's just like, no, you can't pick and choose. I'm sorry. You really can't. And that goes for like the Mormons. Like, I don't even want to get into it, but it's just saying like it's crazy. They pick and choose what they want to do.
Yeah.
And they think that they're the greatest people. These people are the ones who'll be the worst people ever. And all of a sudden they'll do a 360 and they'll say they choose God and they found God, but girl, you know damn well.
But they're hateful.
We're bullying,
and they
we're
support
hateful.
people that are hateful as well. And again, I feel like we have to say it, but we shouldn't even have to say it. Not all people. Obviously, if you're Christian and you're listening and you're like offended and you're like, that's not me. Okay, great. That's not you. You're one of the good ones. If that makes you feel better. But I feel like in general, we're thinking and talking about specific people that we know in real life that go around preaching like they're better than everyone else because of the religious beliefs that they have in the religion they're part of. And they're not better than everyone else. They're hateful. They're awful. They are, you know, just all the awful things that you can think of. And and that aggravates me. It's tiring. It's draining. I don't want that around me. So religion is one of them. The other thing is like the homophobia, the transphobia around it. It's like if you're a person of color, and especially, and I want to be very careful in how I say this because I'm not part of the LGBTQ plus community, but I feel like it really puzzles me when someone part of that community is supporting Orange Guy, because it's like he clearly, we don't have to say it, like he doesn't align and doesn't support you. He
doesn't fuck with you.
He like, doesn't.
It's like literally mind blowing. It's like, it's crazy when I see like, which I don't want to bring up what I just saw this like, you know, past couple days, but it's crazy seeing the amount of people of color, the amount of people who are the LGBTQ plus community supporting this person. And it's just like, you're contradicting yourself. You're not being embraced and you're not safe in this environment, right? And again, I want to say, like, I'm not part of this community, so I feel like I don't have a place, you know, to talk or criticize people's choices, but I do want to focus on people that are heterosexual, that I'm part of, obviously, that demographic. I feel like oftentimes people use this idea of being transphobic and framing it like, well, I'm afraid of, you know, trans people, you know,
grooming
yeah.
or having an influence on my child, when in reality it's like you let your child be around other fucking adults that are unsafe, that are drunks, that have like a lot of issues, that are violent, that are dangerous. You let your child around them and you don't bat an eye because they're not part of the LGBTQ plus community.
Exactly.
Just say you're homophobic, just say you're transphobic with your whole chest and be done with it. Don't use safety concerns as an excuse to be hateful towards this population. Like, and I want to share, I want to share this because I feel like I know a lot of people that are parents of young children, and they use this as an excuse. Like, if my child goes to school and is forced to share a bathroom with someone who is, part of the trans community, like, if a child identifies as something other than the sex they were assigned at birth, I don't feel like my child can be safe. It's like, I'm a therapist. I've worked with children for 10 plus years, and in all my life of working with children, I've treated hundreds, maybe even thousands of children. I've never worked with a child who's been a victim of sexual abuse or assault that has reported being assaulted by a trans person or any person part of the LGBTQ plus community. It typically is always an uncle, a dad, a stepdad, a grandpa, a brother, a sister, a coach, a priest, a this, a that. Now, I'm not saying that people part of this community can't be perpetrators. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that, like, we can't just blame people part of this community to be the ones that we need to look out for. No, we need to just look out for everyone and be responsible parents and protect our children. But I hate that these people use this community as targets.
Exactly.
And they are cowards, and they don't want to come out and say that they are, again, homophobic and transphobic. It's like, be real. Say it with your whole chest, or don't say it at all. Don't hide behind these like fake narratives and to be hateful. And it really, really aggravates me. It's draining. I don't have patience for it. It just makes me like sick. I see the hypocrisy behind it. It's like, I see these parents that are not fit, good parents. And it takes a lot for me to say that, but I say that because it's typically parents that are reckless in other areas of that child's life that are the most homophobic and transphobic.
Yeah.
And it's like, stop it.
And the people who get so upset by other people's lives,
why?
I'm not getting it. It's giving, I don't think I have to say it, but it's
what are
giving,
you hiding?
Like, sus to me, because why are you so invested? Why are you so worried about what someone else wants to do with their life? How someone else wants to express themselves? Why are you worried about how someone wants to identify? Like, it's none of your business. How is it affecting you? And the fact that these people are getting so riled up, like, you got your own thing going on. I don't know if, like, I don't know. It's a lot of internalized stuff. And I think it's really opening my eyes to selection, like, who is truly, really brainwashed. And I think it's crazy. And
I just think sometimes people too, they do it for the sake of like being a contrarian and, being different and being like, ooh, even though I'm part of this community, I'm going to say the opposite of what this community should stand.
To rile people up,
right.
To stand out, to go viral. And I've seen a lot of interesting stuff over these past couple days, and
it's really sad. And I feel like a lot of this is being fueled by misinformation. A lot of this hatred is fueled by misinformation. One in particular is like the whole audio that went viral where Orange Guy was saying like, oh, and Jimmy goes to school and comes back as like a different gender.
Ridiculous.
That is so absurd that I think that's why it went viral, and that is like an audio that everyone is using on TikTok because it's so absurd. But I have to remember there's people out there that really believe that this is gonna happen.
I mean, it's like a cult. It's literally like anything that this guy says,
they believe it.
Supporters will believe. And like, I mean, I think we've all seen the videos, like an undercover like person who's not a really goes to like the rallies and like interviews these people, and they look ridiculous.
They do.
They like so they're like, oh, would you vote for someone who is a convicted felon, who is a
they're listing all
rapist,
the traits and all the
things that this person has done, and they're like, oh, never. And they're like, so why are you supporting Trump here? They're like, oh, well, that's not even proven. And it's just like, it's crazy to me. And I don't even know how this person is able to even run. You're a convicted felon, but you know, that's a whole other thing. And it's just this world is really crazy. And
it is, and it's aggravating because there's just so much to unpack.
How is this even real?
Like,
I mean, we can go on and on about this, I think, but it's really truly, I think, damaging. It's scary. I think a lot of people are, you know, joking around about this, and if you are able to vote, please vote. And I think this is not really a joking matter. I know
it's not.
Laugh about, you know, some stuff, but it's really not a joking matter. This is serious business. I think truly if this person gets elected, this is not going to be good. The plan 2025 or whatever it is, like,
it's scary.
He has these things that are going to happen. It's scary, and I don't want to even know.
All I have to say to sum all this up is when shit hits the fan, and if he gets reelected, it will hit the fan again. If shit hits the fan, you know, January 6th, people are not going to stop and look at you and be like, oh, you're one of the good ones. You're one of the ones that supports us. They're going to go for you too. And you're going to be in danger too, bitch. Yeah. So, like, don't be delusional into thinking that because you align.
If you are a minority, if you're part of these communities.
These marginalized communities, yes.
You're voting for this person, they don't see you as different. These white people do not see you as different. I'm sorry. I know you feel like you are different. I know you feel like you're kissing these people's asses, and they're going to tell you what you want to hear, but at the end of the day, they're going to see you as minorities. You're never going to be white. I'm sorry. And exactly, when shit hits the fan, you are not going to be one of the good ones. You're going to be seen just as everyone and any other marginalized community. You're gonna be seeing any other fucking minority, so good luck with that. You're gonna get a slap in the face when and
again, I also want to say, like, I don't even want to get too much into it, but it goes without saying, and we're not saying Kamala is perfect. We're not saying there's no room for criticism. There is. Of course there is, but this is not the time to do that. I feel like anyone but Orange Guy, because how hateful and how blatant his hatred is for marginalized communities. I don't think we have ever seen any other candidate be this open and hateful towards a lot of our communities like this one is.
And giving these people the platform.
Yes. Like to pull some stunt like they did January 6th, right? We had never really seen that. Of course, no politician, I think, is going to ever be perfect. No president is ever going to be perfect, of course. But again, this isn't the same. This is someone who is sick, who's twisted, who's pushed the envelope far beyond. And I think it's, you know, dangerous to play this game. This is not the time for this game.
Exactly. It's not time to be like, oh, well, neither is good. I'm not voting.
Right. Let me be a contrarian and go against the grain. No, this is not the time.
This is not the time.
This is not the time.
No. So please be smart. Please just go out and vote. And it's stressful.
Right?
This is like, I'm just hoping for the best.
Yeah. It's just draining. It's disappointing. It's taxing. I don't have patience. I don't have time for it. I feel like the first time around, last time he was elected, there was a lot of like confusion and I think pain associated with letting go of people that supported him. This time around, no. I will cut you off. I don't care. I don't care if you're a family member. I don't care if you're a friend. I don't care if you're a foe. I don't care who you are.
Mm-mm.
I choose not to be around that just because it's sick. It's
You don't have anything in common.
yeah, at all.
Mm-mm.
And so that is the rant for today.
Yeah, I know that was long,
Mm-hmm.
but it
But
is
necessary.
what it is. Exactly. I guess we'll take another break because that was a lot.
Yeah.
So, BRB. We're back from our break. That was a lot again. We just had
To rant about
regroup after
our
that
feelings.
big rant.
Mhm.
But yeah, we're back. So something is coming up. What's coming up?
Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead. It's a tradition that I feel has become like a mainstream popular thing, but Dia de los Muertos is something that I've celebrated all my life. It's something that it's such big part of my childhood. I remember living in Mexico and being very little, being like, I think probably my earliest memory is like being like 3 years old, maybe even younger, and remembering like when my family and I used to go to the cemetery, because in Mexico you celebrate, you go to the cemetery and you set up an altar for the person who has passed away. You literally go to the cemetery on their tombstone or wherever they're buried, and you set up an altar, and then you bring up their favorite dishes, you bring candles, you bring flowers, you basically honor them. This is the day where they say the spiritual realm opens in the world, and you get to, the dead come and visit, and they get to be with you again.
Yeah, and Coco is a good movie to watch if you truly do want to understand it in like more of a
Historical,
yeah, kid
Mhm.
way, like a cute movie.
Mhm.
I did cry. I guess you guys
She
already
cries
know.
for everything.
But it's such a cute movie. And
It is
yeah, if you
cute.
do want to understand like more of what Dia de los Muertos is, then I would watch that
Yeah.
movie because it's
Yeah.
cute.
So I actually set up an altar for my grandma and my brother-in-law who passed away. We set it up every year. Obviously, there's more people in my family that have passed, but usually I only set it up for my great grandmother because she's who I hold the most, I guess, still a connection I feel like to. And also my brother-in-law who passed away, we're very close, so we still honor him as well. And so we will be working on that today. We'll set it up. We may add
Maybe we'll add a
pictures.
picture, yeah, exactly, or of like past ones that
Yeah.
we've made. But yeah, I think it's a really I love that tradition, and I mean, I've grown up with it too, as long as I can remember, living at my grandma's house, living obviously outside of our grandma's house. I feel like we've always made it, and it's just something just heartwarming about it, just seeing it, something emotional about it, obviously. But yeah, I think it's a really beautiful tradition, and I like it. I really I love it.
Yeah, it's a part of who we are. And I think even now, obviously, here it's celebrated differently because we can't go. First of all, my grandmother is buried in Mexico. My brother in law is buried here in the States, but it's still different. And so we set up the altar in our home. And so we set it up with, again, their favorite dishes and, candles, water, and there's like different elements. And so, yeah, it's a way to remember people who have passed on, who are very special and dear to us. So the reason why we're bringing it up is because, again, we wanted to acknowledge it, one, and two, we started having a conversation about just traditions. And I think that Diana asked me, like, something about Dia de los Muertos, and I started reflecting on how it was explained to me. And I thought about it, and I'm like, I don't think my mom ever really explained to me the specifics behind why or how, and because there's different elements and different objects and things you have to put into the altar and the ofrenda, and I never knew. I think until like the movie came out and there's more awareness and information around it, I didn't know that you need to have a glass of water because the water is, because obviously they're going on a long journey and they need to have water. the candles are to light up the path that they take, right? And all these elements that I didn't know.
Yeah.
Again, this is just a tradition I grew up with, and they was never really explained to me thoroughly what each item or object meant. And this is something I've learned now as an adult, but again, it doesn't take away from how special it's been. So in general, I just started reflecting on like, I wonder what other tradition was passed down to me and I haven't really unpacked or acknowledged where it comes from or what it means. I think sometimes we just grow up having certain traditions be practiced in our families and our homes and we don't question it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I haven't questioned it. Like, can you think of any traditions that you've learned that you're like, where does this come from?
Not necessarily like question it, because obviously you grow up with it, you just go with it,
Yeah.
and you learn to love it, and it's fun. It's something that you do. But I think when it comes to like Christmas time, like the posadas, we do like posadas in our family. That's a whole other thing, a tradition. And I don't even really know, like, I mean, I know it's like, the Three Kings and like we sing at the door. It's like, yeah, but I don't know like the specifics into it. I just know we do it, and I've never really questioned it, and we've just done it. But like that, I think. What else?
That brought up this conversation about just the importance of unpacking why we do the things we do. And then it triggered this thought in me of like, okay, here are all the traditions like Tatiana said, like posadas, Dia de los Reyes, like Dia de los Muertos, like these are all traditions that we just sort of follow and do. But what are some traditions that get passed down to us that are toxic and it's more generational trauma that we don't want to continue to pass on to, future generations? So then we started having a conversation around like breaking toxic patterns and traditions and I guess bad habits and toxicity that gets passed down from mother to daughter. And so this like sort of sparked a conversation around what are some traditions that we want to be mindful of, and not even just traditions, but like ways of being, ways of interacting, ways of relating, ways of communicating that we want to break and leave in this generation that I don't want Tatiana to pass down to other generations, like if she chooses to have a child, right? So let's get started. So I can get started. One of the things that I think came up for me this week was Tatiana actually brought it into my attention. She mentioned an incident that happened. I don't want to get into the specifics about what it was because it involves other people and I don't want to talk about other people without them being here. But I reacted or I said something that was out of pocket towards someone. And Tatiana brought that to my awareness days later. And she said, Mom, that was low-key mean what you did back then. And of course, I took offense to it. I shut down. I got offended.
She crashed out, guys. No, I'm just kidding.
I did not crash out. But I got offended. I looked at her sideways and I was like, that's not true. That's not what I did. And she's like, Mom, yes, you did. You were low-key mean and rude about it. And I shut down and I was like, I got really offended and I stayed quiet and I reflected. And she even pointed out, Mom, you're shutting down right now. And then I just stayed quiet. And then I think I marinated on it and I let a few days go by and then I reflected on it. And this was a choice I made. I thought about it days later and I said, I have a choice to either reflect on it and unpack why I reacted this way. One, to her bringing it up and also to the original reaction that I had to that person. Or I can just be in my feelings, be stubborn and, invalidate what she's telling me. But I made a choice to unpack it. And then I recognized and I came to terms with the reality that like, hey, I was wrong. I was acting out of pocket and I was, I overreacted in my response. So then I went back to Tatiana and I apologized to her and I said, Tatiana, you know what? I reflected on what you pointed out and I realized like you were right. I was wrong in the way that I responded to that. So I had to like share with Tatiana because one, it's important for parents to apologize to their children. And I cannot emphasize this enough. There's so much power and so much healing can happen when, as a parent, you apologize to your child. And I recognize sometimes as parents, we parent out of ego, we parent out of fear, and those are harmful ways of parenting. I feel like when we parent out of love, we allow ourselves to grow and learn from our mistakes. And so I chose to not parent out of ego and not parent out of fear. And I chose to hold myself accountable in that moment, which wasn't easy because my ego was bruised and I felt stupid. But I felt like it was a teaching moment for me, again, to break something toxic between us. This idea of I'm the parent, I'm right, you're wrong. And I'm the parent, what do you know? I'm the parent, I get to invalidate you. No, I made the mistake of doing it. I shouldn't have done it to begin with, but I made the mistake of doing it. And then I went back and I apologized. And that felt really good for me to be able to go back to her and have her sort of acknowledge that, one, I was, owning up to my mistake, and two, I was praising her for holding me accountable.
And it was good to know I was right.
But I think, again, this is something that I think is so important, that we need to start breaking these toxic ways of being in relationship with our loved ones. And it's not easy. It takes a lot of work and a lot of awareness. But I think it's like important that we do that. Mm-hmm. So I want to hear from you. How was it from your perspective, one, to point it out and to have me invalidate that experience?
Wait, what?
How was it for you to have me deny and invalidate what you were telling me when you brought it to my awareness that I was out of pocket?
I mean, it was frustrating because obviously, if it was something that I was taking the time to bring up, I was like, okay, I kind of knew, I was like, this could hurt your feelings, or this could, make you feel a certain way. But I think it was important to let you know how I saw things and my perspective, and how other people could have seen it as well. And just bringing up that, I know you're not that type of person. So just being like, hey, you're being maybe perceived as this way, and I know you're not that way, and I want other people to know you're not that way. So kind of just bring it up in the way of that. But I think, yeah, it could get tricky because sometimes we don't want to admit hey, yeah, we were wrong in that moment.
Yeah.
But then when we reflect on it later, we're like, okay, yeah. You kind of ate, you're right. So
you were coming from a place of humbling me, but in a necessary way, because you were looking out for me, essentially. Yeah. That's good. What is something you feel like on your end you can acknowledge that we have to break that toxic cycle of how we interact? And I know you probably have a lot of examples, but what is something maybe simple? Maybe this is an ongoing conversation we can continue to have on this platform. Maybe we can make it a weekly or monthly thing where we sort of check in and compile a list of things that, we want to, toxic traits, toxic ways of being with each other that we can, stop and end, But what is something maybe that you can think of?
I just think us shutting down. I feel like we do that a lot, and I think a lot of parent and child relationships, I think that happens a lot, where things aren't going your way, or things aren't being communicated the best way, and we just want to shut down and whatever, whatever, then we're not going to talk about it anymore, and then there's no solution. The conversation goes nowhere. So I think just really focusing on not shutting down, and explaining how we feel, and working on that.
Yeah. What are the times that you feel the shutting down tends to happen for you?
I think when you come to me with something and I know you're right, but I don't want to hear it in the moment, and it's just oh, well, I know, like, something about school or something about work or, you know, certain things, like, when it comes to, you need to, like, wash your dishes or whatever. I,
Like
shut
chores.
down. I'm just like, whatever. Like, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, certain things like that.
But what do you think gets in the way? Because it sounds like you acknowledge, like, I know you're right, Mom. I know you're telling me things that I need to hear, but there's something that prevents you from being able to receive it. Like, I don't know, could it be like my approach? Like, what do you think it is? Because I'm sure other people can relate. Like, here you are telling me that, you know, when your mom, me, comes to you with certain things, even though you know that I mean well and it's something that you need to hear, you still shut down. What do you think gets in the way?
I think it can just be, like, the approach.
Okay.
And it's just, like, maybe I'm just not feeling good in that moment and I just don't want to hear anything. So I'm just already shut down. Like, okay, whatever. So I think that.
Yeah. Like not being in a good space already.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I would say that, though. I think we're going to take another break. BRB. Hold on.
Yes.
As we're back from our last break of the day. Mom, did you want to add anything else?
I want to make this an ongoing conversation that we have, because I think we can create a long list of things that we need to, cycles that we need to break and toxic traits that we need to undo. But last thing I wanted to mention, and I wanted to more so pose a question in closing just for everyone to think about and maybe like comment, write us, or, you know, reach out through socials and let us know what you think about just how difficult it can be when you have, even if you have a close relationship with your parent or with your child. I feel like even when there is closeness and there's good communication, the lines sometimes get blurred. And sometimes there's like this idea of competing with one another, of, you know, just who is going to hold space for the other one when heavy things come up. So what do I mean by that? Tatiana and I were having a conversation, and when she pointed this thing out, I said, Tatiana, you don't understand because there's background and history with this person that you don't know anything about. And in that moment, I wanted to, it was so tempting to go into this space of wanting Tatiana to hold space for me and sort of comfort me as a friend would, because she is so close to me and she is my best friend. But I had to make a really conscious choice in that moment to not fall down that path, because Tatiana is my daughter. She doesn't have to hold space for me in that way. We can be friends and we can be friendly and close, but it's not her job to validate and to comfort me. And I think that what I want to leave you guys with is like, how and where do we draw the lines of closeness? Is there such thing as being too close to your child? Can we have a close bond and still maintain those parental boundaries and those limits? Or is it impossible? Is there such thing as being too close to your child? And if so, we want to hear where that line is drawn for you guys.
Let us know.
And as a child too, like, do you think that there is such thing as being too close to your mom? Where should the lines be drawn?
I think so. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Not really.
Anything you want to say about that?
No, I just think when it comes to like certain things, like sharing certain things, and I think that was one of our first episodes when it comes to like boundaries. So I think in that aspect, but
yeah. So we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear what you think. And Tatiana and I will continue this conversation. And we also want to talk about next week a show, Grotesquerie. So this is your assignment is to watch it, because we're going to talk about it. It's on Hulu. It's really good. It's really twisted. It's by Ryan Murphy.
It's really weird.
It's really weird. And we are almost done. We have one episode left. Everyone's upset about the ending.
I'm scared.
Which we don't know because we haven't watched it. And so we're hoping that next week we don't come back upset over the ending like everyone else is.
I have a feeling we will be.
So this is your chance to catch up and, be part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see you guys next week.
Yes, and remember to take care of yourselves. And girl,
you guys, I'm gonna disappear with this camo.
Yeah, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.